Right, well, as the engine's in, things now get a bit tight, so drive shaft is on and bolted on. Make sure you do those nuts tight because they have a habit of coming loose, so get in there, get a good leverage on them, get them tight. I did forget, however, that the drive shaft doesn't fit through the gap, so I had to unbolt the gearbox, jack the engine up, well, jack this side up a touch, take the bolt off the lower arm out, and then push the wheel out a touch to get the CV boot joint in there. So that's in there, tightened up. Now we're on to the wiring, which isn't that bad. There's a few bits I need to redo. As you can see, it's old wiring. I've got to replace a couple of spring clips I'm missing. What else we got? The wires that are on the oil temperature sensors, the outer casing split. A couple of wires over here as well which need redoing, and obviously modern age tape. So what I'm going to probably do is get a good roll of that fabric sort of protection, get for it. Just gets really good stuff, just to go between the sort of open gaps of the wires, because this grey tube just snaps. Where was I doing it? I was doing it somewhere and it was just breaking off. So got all the temperature sensors down there on the cage. Yet they are pretty much all of them are used. You've got the big brown one, then you've got 3 others there, and then you've got another one that sits on the back of the cylinder head where that green wire's gone off to down there. So a bit cramped, a bit of backache, but it's in, looking too bad. What else I put on? Yeah, engine mounts are bolted in, throttle cables on. Now I've got this, you want a nice tight cable on these, so that clip only went in sort of one place, and that was too tight, or not as tight as it is. You put it in the next place and it'd set the micro switch off. There's a little switch on the side here, so I had to get the cable as tight as I can, so as soon as you touch the cable that switch operates and then closes back again. So that's done. What else have we been doing? Not a lot really. I've got to get the other drive shaft in, hopefully should fit out from the back, but I thought I'd just tackle the wire in. I've cleaned up the CV joint clips. Yeah, give them a little lick of paint so they just look a bit tidier. Just doing the clutch connections now. A nice heating fan, just getting that paint clean because it's pretty cold in here at the moment. 3 degrees, about 3 and a bit degrees in here, so it's quite cold. Some damage putting the engine in. I have chipped a bit off there, which is a bit annoying, but what's more annoying is where I've painted this. See, there's little dots there, that's rust starting to come back through, which is pretty disappointing. So I'm going to redo that again. That just got caught when I was lowering the engine into the engine bay. Hey ho, these things happen. Power steering bracket just needs going back on, so that can get redone. Lots of little bits, tiny little bits to get on with, but yeah, I want to get the wiring loom tackled. Now I've done the drive shaft down the back, gear linkages are on, so now I've got this space to sort of tackle the wiring loom, get that tucked in, set up, because most of the wiring loom sits this side, so get on that as soon as I can, and then hopefully start to tidy it up slightly. Right, back onto some wiring. I've made the decision to re-tidy, well, I want to tidy it a little bit up. This is the grey plastic stuff, just the old sleeves, right, and it does just break apart. It's gone very brittle. Some bits broke off. So what I'm doing, starting with the oil pressure ones first, because I know they've got a break in the wires. Not a break in the wires, but the casing's just broken there, which is just the main point they flex. So, and there's another one just there. So I'm just going to continuity test those wires, making sure they're good. And then I'm going to use, I've just cut into this, the main big cover just a little bit to make sure the wires are good, and I want to get off that bit. Then I'm going to take the ends off, heat shrink those bits, clean the wires up, and I'm going to use the newer sort of style fibre tape to get a lot of new cars. It's cheap as chips and looks really tidy. So that's what I'm going to do to tidy the wiring up. Yeah, it's not originally OEM sort of as it would be in the factory, but it looks a hell of a lot tidier, considering that, what, see all the dirt in there, if it will zoom in, Like, that's 30 odd years of dirt and grime, and that obviously goes up inside these as well. These are all open, so God knows what's inside there. These will just snap, they're terrible. So that's the plan with these. So I'm just going to start one set of wires, clean those up, get them taped up right up to there, and then they can go on the sensors. I know that's done, and I'll move on to the next ones in a logical approach. So I've just pulled the caps off these pressure ones. You can see that's had a new connector on it. This one looks like an original one, and there's got 2 casing breaks and the wires there. I don't know if you can zoom it, that'll zoom in enough. That's how much wire is left on there. See where the brake is, just to the left, where that circle is there, that's thick wire, and at the end of it that's what's left. So it's a good job to check wires. Yes, there's not a lot left on that, so that wouldn't have done very well. With a few more heat cycles of the engine, that would have just snapped off and caused annoyance. So again, it's old wire and it's worth checking. Let's get that changed. Right, so we're just doing some wiring loom bits. The tape I'm using, like I said I was going to use, is this Tezza tape. It's like a fabric sort of stuff they use on most modern cars, etc. So all I'm really doing is, I haven't done the ends because I've got to change these plugs, but so that's the start motor one. They'll clean up at the end, I'll probably change those connectors. So all it's doing is just wrapping the loom up nice and tight. Again, I've gone over these bits, I've still got those wires need new connectors on, changing over. That needs another plug on it. And then the oil pressure ones are going off, then splitting off to 2. So that's all we're really going to do, is just cover up the ends and make them tidier. I did an end somewhere on the washer tub, so there it just goes and just tidies the loose out, because most of the loom comes like that. So you've got the big plastic cover and all the wires come out. Again there, just put a bit around the end of that, that's the sensor that sits outside in the wing, just to cover the nice hole up. This section here, the big bits, they do clean up quite well. That's not too brittle, so again I'll just clean all that up, hold it in place and tape around it. What else have we done? Drive shafts are both in now, finally. Pain in the arse. This side up to go in. Can't see much. Really. So yeah, drive shafts in. I had to touch up a fair few bits on the drive shaft and the lower arm, because I had to take the whole lower arm off to get the drive shaft back in, so it actually cleared. So that's all done. I've hired the suspension because the suspension was sitting too high. So that's the sort of height I'm going for. Nothing major, just probably a bit higher than that, actually, probably 10 mil high, but at the moment it was too low to actually get the jack under it. So that's hired up just so I can actually get the jack under it. That's as far as we've got at the moment. A few other little bits and bobs. When I was putting the engine, I scratched up the power steering brackets. I've just put one on, so all I've done is just give these a nice rub down again. Nice bit of paint, just using the high coat stuff. Cheap and cheerful, good stuff. Yeah, it was. I scratched this part of it, but the other side was rust was coming through the back. So I've just given them a nice rub down. Primer, clear coat and silver. So they're looking a bit tidier, so I'll pop them back on. Alright, I've already adjusted the suspension once, just so it's an even height, and it's too low for me, so I don't want a silly low car, because at the moment I can't even get that jack is only just getting on the anti-roll bar, so it's too low. So as you can see there, you probably can't see much. Right, my fingers are bent at an angle to get on there, so what I'm ideally looking for is literally I can get my fingers horizontally between the arch and the top of the tyre. So I'm just going to raise it up another 10 mil, and then hopefully that will sit nicely with it. Right, so adjusting the coilovers, if you haven't done them before, what I've got on this is quite hard to measure and see, but I'm measuring between at the bottom of that top collar to that ridge there. Where is it? There it is, that one there. So at the moment I've got, I think it's 40 mil sitting onto that ridge. So what I'm going to do is take that up to 50. So what I do, these are 2 locking collars. Give me that bulb. Bit of light. Yes, you've got a top collar and a bottom collar. So literally just going to loosen off the bottom one, and then just it's easy enough. You can get spanners, but you can turn it with your hand enough. Coilover wise, these are just cheap sort of brand coilovers. I got them at a good price. These are cheap. I mean, I had budget ones on my 20 valve turbo, and they done the job. These literally just on the car to get the car rolling again. Later down the line I might update them to more advanced, comfier ride, but we'll see how they go. I've always gone for coilovers because I'm very particular with arch to height clearance, so you can get a set of springs on it and do a few hundred miles, they'll settle, but it's very unlikely you'll get an even ride height front to back, which is sort of a bit of a bugbear for me. I don't like it. So coilovers you can adjust how you want, so once these are all settled, I can adjust the backs or the fronts or whatever just to get it spot on right. And you can also do corner weighting if you want to go down that line with coilovers a lot better, which is where you have literally a set of scales on each wheel and each suspension is adjusted up or down, etc., so the weight of the vehicle is spread evenly. So if you put this one higher than the other side, there's more compression on that spring, which means more weight's going to push down on this wheel. So in weight distribution, there'll be more weight on this front right hand wheel than there will the other one, and vice versa front to back. Like I say, if you have the back lower than the front, you've got more weight distribution to the back. So maybe I'll go down that line at some point, but let's get this adjusted up. I'll just do it down my rear. So that's the power steering bracketry back on. It's not tight yet because I don't want to scratch the paint, so that'll stay as it is now until such times I've got all the belts and everything on. Then I can just slowly nip things up without scratching the paint. Obviously the pulley needs redoing because it's scratched or chipped at the bottom. You can also see it's a bit frustrating, those little dots, the rust has come through. So I've done a pretty poor job of that pulley's done the same, apart from I chipped it, but that hasn't come through, so I'll have to take that off, roll it down again and redo it. Because there you go. So all I've done is raise the suspension 10mm each side, and that's about the gap I sort of want to go for. Nothing too much. There is a large gap the other side which sort of put me off with it, and I thought, oh god no, and then double check the tyre size. These are all 195 50/15s and the other side's a 195 45, so there's your 5mm difference. So yeah, that's the height I want, that's set up alright. Engine bay wise, still doing a bit more wiring. Let's say it's all nice and covered now. Starter motor loom's on. The alternator loom has been redone, which goes around beyond the oil filter and up to there, taped up nice. Around there's sort of done. That's on there, that'll be tucked down out the way. I need to get Brendan on the board, get another one of those clips, change that on there. Done a few bits in there. I've got a couple of earth wires to get new clips on. I think I can tidy at the top of that. Other than that, we haven't done much on the engine bay. Boot wise, I've redone the rear demister wires, just need them taped up. And the other thing I have got is, I'll get them out, hiding in this envelope. Bear with. Now the boot stickers with all your build spec sheet and stuff in it, obviously they're worn out, knackered. So there's a awesome bloke on various places who can you can see my chassis number, never mind, I won't hide it, but there, here you go. Remade the stickers for the boot and they look absolutely awesome, literally exactly like factory. So that's cool. I've got 2 of those for the boot, 1 spare, and he's also done 2 for the service book. So you get all of a service book which is as empty as possible. I can get those stuck into there. Really pressed with them. Really nice bloke. Very good. So I'll stick his Instagram name in the description, so you can give him a shout and badger him, give him some pocket money. So yeah, not much else is going on. You can see the garage is starting to come apart. All the roof's down, things are boxed up, looking pretty empty at the moment. So hopefully within the next week we should have a date when we can move, and then start finalising getting the Golf. We've got a nice guy, Paul Birch, who's going to transport my Golf down to Wales. We were under denying about how to get the car down there protected. Obviously, I don't want a cover on there because it's going to be flapping around, and I don't want it to wear paint, and then I don't want an expensive car cover to go flying off down the road somewhere. It's a 3.5 hour drive, so one thing he did mention, or some of the people have done before, is shrink wrap. You literally get the car strapped on there and shrink wrap the whole car. Gives it a good bit of protection, stones and whatnot. Doesn't cost anything, and it's going to do literally minimal damage to the car. So that's probably the idea: is get it out there, straight on the back of the lorry, shrink wrap it up, and then when you reverse it in the new place, it can go forward straight into the garage. So that's the plan. So I'll get this edited, stick it up. Like I say, not much is going on at the moment because we're concentrating on the move, but little bits here and there, chipping away, remembering what things need to be done, and getting those done. A lot of things I can get on with, but it's hard because you want to do something, but by doing one thing, there's like 4 other things you want to do it. Otherwise, like, it's not much point in doing it. Say if I wanted to change that plug, I wouldn't just bother doing that plug on its own. I want to make sure all of it's done, if that makes sense. I've got another Jubilee clip, another clip to go on the bottom hose down under there. That needs doing. It does need a bit of a clean, but it is what it is. Things get dusty. So yeah, I'll get it edited. I'll stick it up. Any comments are more than welcome. Cheers.